Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mindy Kesnick and I am a real estate agent in the Madison, Wisconsin area. Today we are going to talk about the real truth about winter in Madison, Wisconsin. The winters are rough. It is currently January and you can see in my backyard here that we are covered in snow. January's temperatures can be brutal. The average high is 27 in January. The average low is only 8 degrees. It can get as cold as -36, which was the record low set way back in the 50s. Thankfully, we haven't seen temperatures that cold on a regular basis. The average high was 62, and that was back in the 40s, so a very long time ago. Those temperatures, however, do not factor in the wind chill. And so if you're coming from somewhere that does not factor in wind chill, because what is wind chill anyways? It basically is how we figure out what the feels like temperature is. So to give you a little example, if it's 0 degrees outside and we have 20-mile-per-hour winds, that means that it feels like -22. Wind makes a huge difference in how it feels outside in the winter months. These wind chills actually have a lot more to do when the Madison area kind of shuts down than even the snow does. So when do we shut down in Madison, Wisconsin? As far as snow, it usually equals about 8+ inches of snow overnight, which doesn't happen all that often. But usually if that does happen, it's just that the plows can't keep up. And so we usually see like school delays or the Madison Metro bus system may shut down for the day. As far as how the cold impacts shutdowns, it kind of depends on your school district. So a lot of times, most districts will follow what the Madison school district does. It's one of the largest, obviously, in our county. So a lot of times we will kind of mimic what they do, and it takes a lot for them to shut down, to be honest. A lot of the districts will depend on whether there's a wind chill warning or a wind chill watch. So a wind chill warning usually is around -30 degrees. So that means if the wind chill is -30 or colder, they will close down schools because it's just too cold for kids to stand at a bus stop. So the calendar means very little here in Wisconsin because, as we talked about, you can have temperatures up in the 40s in January, or you can be having a wind chill warning, which is -30 degrees. We don't put our snow gear away until like May because it can get warm in the winter months, January, February, March, and then we can see snow in May. So always be prepared. And when you do see those 40-degree days in the middle of winter, make sure you grab some appropriate gear and head outside. So let's talk about snow removal. Shoveling is a skill set here in Wisconsin. If you're a Wisconsin native, you know that you got to get out there and get the snow off the driveway before somebody comes trampling through, either walking around or driving on it, because as soon as somebody walks on that snow, it's going to get packed down, it's going to turn to ice, and then you have a disaster on your hands until it warms up again so that you can remove it. So get out there and shovel right away, and even better yet, invest in a snowblower. Not all snow is created equal either. So sometimes we get nice, light, fluffy snow that's fun to do outdoor activities, and other times we get super heavy snow that is awful for shoveling. However, it makes for good snowmen. Another thing you have to sort of consider when it's winter in Wisconsin and we're expecting snow is that you have to watch your street parking. So if you have a driveway, obviously that's ideal. If you live somewhere that doesn't offer off-street parking, you have to make sure you pay attention to which side of the street you park on. In a lot of areas, we have alternate street parking. So that means one night the plow can go down one side of the street and then the next night they can go down the other side of the street. So you have to make sure that your car is not on the side of the street that they're plowing, because number one, you'll get a hefty ticket. And number two, they will plow you right into the snowbank. So you gotta love them, but it can be a love-hate relationship. Driving in the winter here in Wisconsin is also a learned skill set. You gotta kind of learn how to like slide and how to take corners and how soon you should start braking before you come to a light. I mean, we've all been there. Every year, really, we forget how to drive. And then we're reminded really quickly when we go to put on our brakes and we can't stop fast enough for the car in front of us. And then we're sweating and we finally hit it. And then we're like, oh yeah, this is what driving in Wisconsin's like. So anyways, it's a learned technique, and you typically have to just allow yourself more commute time because there's lots of people that haven't gotten it down yet, or they forget, or they try to change lanes and there's really not enough time, et cetera, et cetera. And now there's traffic jams because of accidents, because people forget how to drive. It's not a hard skill to learn, but it does take some time, and it wouldn't hurt you if you've never driven in snow before to maybe head out to a parking lot and give it a try. Now, ice is a totally different story, and we don't see a lot of freezing rain, but it certainly can happen. And when there is freezing rain, even the most experienced Wisconsin driver is typically going to try to stay off the roads. So always watch the weather for freezing rain. Other thing to consider around winter driving in Wisconsin is to have some sort of survival kit in your trunk. It's best if you can obviously park in a garage or underground or something like that. But if you have to head to work and your car's outside all day in the snow, you're going to need an ice scraper, snow duster, a shovel potentially, and then there's always like jumper cables, a blanket, water. One thing to consider is if there's a serious accident, which happens, you can get stuck like on the interstate in a traffic jam because they're clearing the roads of accident. So having some of those supplies in your car in an emergency is not a terrible idea. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have really good, appropriate winter gear. So what that looks like is a really warm winter coat. I recommend having one that covers your bottom because if you have to spend any time outside walking, your butt's gonna get really cold. Also, a good set of gloves or mittens, obviously a warm hat, and then some really good winter boots. The winters here are challenging, but they are also very beautiful. The snow, like on a day like today, it glistens out there. And sometimes if you are in like a second story building, you feel like you're in a snow globe as the beautiful snow falls and the sun shines on it when it hits the snow and sparkles. I mean, it's magical. So it's very beautiful, and we have created a lot of really fun activities to keep you active and enjoying your days even when they're cold. One of my favorite winter activities is snowshoeing. It's kind of like hiking, but you just have these big things on your feet to help you get through the snow. There's lots of trails, lots of parks that have snowshoeing trails in them all over the state, and it's really a fun way to get outside, get some exercise, and stay warm on those cold days. We've also got a fair amount of ski hills, and cross-country skiing is another super popular sport here, where again, we've got parks that have specific trails that they even groom for these kinds of outdoor sports. I also personally love to run outside in the winter. I just wear my typical running shoes, and then I have these little contraptions that attach to the bottom to avoid any slipping or sliding. And if I hit any ice, they help me from not sliding on the ice either. So as long as you have the right gear, it is really amazing to get outside in the winter months. We also have bikers that bike all year round, even through the snowy months. We have sledding hills, obviously, all over that are a blast for a fun family outing. The other fun activity, which is a little bit more challenging if you don't own a snowmobile, but there are snowmobile trails all throughout the state. A lot of our farmland is converted into snowmobile trails during the winter months. So there's plenty of things to do to get outside, get some fresh air, and really get yourself through those winter months. So it can be challenging, but I also think that it really just makes us thoroughly enjoy the other seasons of the month. We really take full advantage of every opportunity to get outside and enjoy the outdoors here. If you enjoy these videos and you want to learn more about moving to Madison, Wisconsin, please hit subscribe and don't forget the bell so you're notified every time I post a video. If you are looking for more information about moving to this area, please reach out to me. I'd love to connect.